I'll edit this out, but that's funny. I have no idea. Yeah. Hey Silverbacks, how are y'all doing on this fine day? I'm back here once again with some good oldie tips and tricks that you can use to improve your lifts, your mobility, and your overall strength. So I hope everyone's doing well. We are now 11 days into the month, just a little bit longer to go until we're back in the gym. Fingers crossed. I'm really looking forward to Governor Abbott's announcement this week. Hopefully he says that gyms can reopen. I'm not very hopeful on that. I'm not expecting it, but like y'all, I want to get back to the gym and see everyone's smiling faces. Until then, there are some things that we can do at home. I know not everyone has a barbell and weights at the house, but you can easily do this with a kettlebell. You can do it even with a dumbbell, a little bit more difficult. You can do it with 2 dumbbells, or you can just find a spare child lying around and pick them up, pick them up by the drawers. I'm sure that some of y'all at this point would love to do that and then toss them. So, with that being said, some of the common faults that I see in lifters and CrossFitters in general is that glute ham activation. Okay, what I'm talking about is your hamstring obviously comes into your glute, right there at the attachment, and a lot of times we aren't activating this, and so we get a lot of knee cave in, which causes knee pain. We're not getting the power out of the bottom of our squats. We get that butt wink, which is a disengagement of the QLs, the erectors, and glute ham engagement. So there's a lot of things tying in there. So what we like to do as weightlifters is we like to do something from the powerlifting world called a Sumo Deadlift. Okay, that's going to work on keeping that back upright, but you're not going to have to key in those QLs and erectors so much like you would in a deadlift. It doesn't necessarily work that lower back. It works the glutes and hams. Okay, it gets us to activate them with not having to worry about that hinge at the hip. So what I'm talking about is if you think about a sumo wrestler or anything like that, most of y'all have probably done these before, but let's talk about that position. Okay, when you talk about sumo, you think of like the big guys that get that big wide stance, right? And then they're squared up and ready to go. Notice how when they do that, they're usually very upright, right? Their feet are outside of their hips and their toes may be pointed out, right? This stance right here, because this is the most stable stance. We're engaging our glute, our hands, and our hips. So we're gonna take that stance on the bar. I'm gonna go pretty far outside of my hips, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and point my toes out, okay? I'm not Ronald McDonald, completely 180, but I'm probably somewhere right outside of 45. So I'm probably about 50, 55, 60 degree angle with my toes. So you can flirt somewhere between 45 and 60 degrees, okay? My toes are pointed out. Why? Because that opens my hips, okay? That now keys my butt in and causes my glutes to start to activate, okay? So that's what we're always talking about when we squat. Knees out, knees out, knees out. Not toes out, but knees out. Because when we drive those out, it now makes my glute and my hams work together. So I get this position, right? My feet are very wide. My toes are pointed out. My grip is going to be anywhere inside of my knees, okay? Inside of the legs, from the bottom position. Not from the top position, but from the bottom position, okay? So I personally like to go right inside the knurling in this blank area here, okay? For a men's bar with that center knurling, it's gonna be right outside of that center knurling possibly. So I typically grab here. It is a bit of a wider sumo deadlift. Some people grab right next to their shins. Some people grab here. Some people even grab dead center, okay? It doesn't matter. That is not the important part here. Grab where it's comfortable, okay? I'm not gonna hook grip this necessarily. I'm gonna just simply pronated grip here. As I grab this bar, I'm going to sit my hips down. My hips are not going to be pushed straight out. My chest is going to be up and down. So I'm going to go ahead, grab the bar here, and I'm going to sit down into my hips, right? My back is straight up and down. I'm gripped here. I'm blocking this end, right? And I'm going to now activate my glute hams. Notice, if I come here, I'm going to want to pull with my back. Your hips need to be straight down and drive straight up. Okay? And the negative is just as important as the eccentric, okay? Eccentric and concentric. We want to work both. So I'm going to come here, lock it in. Notice how I push my shoulders down and back, and and drive straight up, okay? And straight back down. I like to wear pants or long socks when I do this because, as you can tell, it does ride up my leg, okay? You're gonna feel this in your glutes and your hams and even in your hip flexors a little bit. We're all having troubles with this, especially if we do a lot of sedentary work, like I know I'm doing right now. I'm moving a lot less now than when I do when I'm in my classroom. So these are great if you're going light, okay? You can easily do 3 sets of 10. If you're doing it with a little bit of weight, focus on sets of 5. 4 or 5 sets of 5, get that real good activation in there, and then press on. If you want to try to test up to a heavy 1 rep max, that's great. I wouldn't do it the first time out. I'd get a couple of weeks of these bad boys in, and then start building into a heavy 1 rep. So then that way maybe you have something to work off of. And these are generally heavier than your 1 rep max clean deadlift, because again, you don't have to worry about the back activation. But for some of us, it might be lower because we are having problems with that glute ham, okay? So if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. Go ahead and slide right on in my DMs and I'll answer any questions that you have. If you want me to take a look at your videos, I'm more than happy to do that too. All right, so I hope everyone's having a great day, and go get some sumos on. See y'all.